The NFL Draft is a time of excitement and joy for all 32 teams and their fan bases. If an NFL Draft goes well, a team can set themselves up for a successful future and potentially win a Super Bowl too. It's also an exciting time for the draftees, as one weekend in late April culminates years upon years upon years of hard work. And not surprisingly, some draft classes are stronger than others, and if you know anything about the 2021 NFL Draft, you know this was an extremely strong draft class. And we all know why we're here, and in today's video, we are going to be grading picks 1 through 16 2 years later. We will be going in reverse order, so we are starting with Zaven Collins of the Arizona Cardinals, and we'll be finishing with Trevor Lawrence of the Jags. And there is 16 picks to dive into, so without further ado, let's begin. And we are starting today's video with Zaven Collins of the Arizona Cardinals. Zaven didn't play all that much during his rookie season, as he had 25 tackles and played 50% of the snaps in a game just twice. 2022 was a much different story for Zaven, as he finished the year with 100 total tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and even had a pick 6. Zaven was one of the better players on an otherwise bad team, and I still think there is room to grow. There is one big thing Zaven needs to work on, and it's tackling. He misses a lot of tackles, and per PFF, there were 3 games alone in 2022 where he missed 3 or more tackles. That's the number one complaint I have with Zaven, and something he can work on with a full year starting under his belt. 2 years later, this is a C+. Mac Jones was the 5th quarterback taken in the first round and looked very good during his rookie year. He finished second in the Rookie of the Year race behind only Jamar Chase and threw for 22 touchdown passes. He showed flashes of a long-time franchise quarterback and even had 10 wins as a rookie. But 2022 was a much different story. The lack of weapons reared its ugly head time after time after time, and Mac was not the same player he was in 2021. His completion percentage dropped, his sack percentage went up, his passer rating went down, and the Patriots were just 6-8 with him as their starter. Everything went down from year 1 to year 2, which makes this pick so difficult to grade. The 2022 Patriots offense is an example of why teams need to get their young quarterbacks weapons. They need to help them out as soon as they can, and 2 years later, this is a C+. Alijah Vera-Tucker is up, and this was a player the Jets traded up to get as they acquired this selection from the Minnesota Vikings. AVT's second season ended with a triceps injury, but it cannot be emphasized enough how good of a lineman he is and how valuable he is to the New York Jets. During his rookie season, he played over 1,000 snaps at left guard, and in 2022, he played games at right guard, left tackle, and right tackle. This type of versatility at a moment's notice is unheard of, and Alijah played at a high level when switching between the positions. I truly think he is one of the more underrated players in all of football, and him allowing a single sack in 6.5 games in 2022, despite playing 3 different positions, is unheralded. I don't think this is an A+, but I do think this is an A- with room to grow. Vera-Tucker is a damn good football player. Rashawn Slater was the second offensive tackle off the board, and in Slater's rookie season, he was a Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro. He missed most of the 2022 season due to a biceps injury, but in the 2.5 games he played in 2022, he was still dominant. He allowed just 3 pressures and 113 pass blocking snaps this year, and was probably going to be selected to his second Pro Bowl. And for as many Chargers things as the Chargers do, they hit on their franchise quarterback and left tackle in back-to-back years. And I know people will discount his Pro Bowl appearance in his rookie year, or say something like, well, it's the Pro Bowl and it's watered down compared to what it used to be, but the second-team All-Pro in his rookie year was very, very impressive. And he was off to a good start in 2022, and 2 years later, this is an A+. What more could you ask for from a player in their first 2 years? Is 2 first-team All-Pros a good start? No, because it's an insane start. 2 years into his career, Micah Parsons is a 2-time first-team All-Pro player and was the 2021 Defensive Rookie of the Year award winner. He has 3 forced fumbles in each of his first 2 years and is just 23 years old. If there were any questions about Micah before the start of his rookie season, such as would he be worth the number 12 overall pick and how would he translate to the NFL after not playing during the 2020 season, his final year at Penn State, he's answered every single question and then some. It's not an exaggeration to say he is off to a Hall of Fame caliber start with the aforementioned 2 first-team All-Pros. He is a truly special football player, and this is an easy A+ grade. Justin Fields was the Bears' first-round pick after trading up from pick 20. They acquired this selection from the New York Giants as they sent pick 20 and a 2022 first-round pick, which eventually turned into Evan Neal. And in 2 years, Justin has a record of 5-20 as a starter and has 24 passing touchdowns to 21 interceptions. He also ran for over 1,500 yards, including an 1,100-yard, 8-touchdown season in 2022. Justin is truly a difficult player to grade because it's fair to say he hasn't lived up to the number 11 overall pick, but it's also fair to say he has had one of the worst supporting casts in all of the NFL. They finished with the number 1 overall pick due to pretty much everyone but him. His leading receivers this year in order of yards were Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, Equanimeous St. Brown, David Montgomery, and Dante Pettis. That's awful, and no QB is leading those weapons to anything of note. 2 years later, we give Justin a C+. The Eagles traded up in front of the Giants to get Devonta Smith, and Smitty is a tough player to grade, not because he's not a good player or anything like this, but because there are 2 pretty good receivers we will discuss shortly. Devonta had a 900-yard year as a rookie and followed it up with a near 1,200-yard season in 2022. It is truly hard to imagine this not being a receiver that will accumulate a 1,000-yard year after a 1,000-yard year. The only question I really have for Devonta is, will he ever be a bona fide number 1 receiver? That's the only question. He's a good route runner, he has great hands, and is a good football player. 2 years later, the Eagles are laughing at any of the concerns he had in the draft. I think he's good with the potential to be great. An A grade. Here is corner Pat Surtain, and in the first 2 years of his career, he has a Pro Bowl to his name, along with a first-team All-Pro from 2022. For all of the bad the Broncos dealt with offensively in 2022, the defense was very good and Surtain was the best player on the defense. His worst game from this past year came against a pretty good player you may have heard of in Davante Adams, but aside from that game, he was lights out. Teams truly did not want to throw at him, and according to NFL Next Gen stats, he was targeted at the lowest rate in the NFL last season. He is a technician at corner, and Pat's 2022 season will be used as teaching tape for young corners moving forward. He did all of this at just 22 years old, and his future is truly as bright as he wants it to be. Not surprisingly, this is an A+ grade. There was a lot of anticipation around Jaycee Horn's second year in the NFL after playing just 3 games as a rookie before suffering a fractured foot and being placed on injured reserve. And Jaycee did not disappoint. I was paying attention to Horn in 2022, especially in the first half, to see how he would play regularly against NFL competition, because this in a lot of ways was like his rookie season, meaning this would be the true test to see if he can get up to speed and if he quote-unquote has it or not, and Jaycee more than has it. He gave up 0 touchdowns in coverage in 2022 and had 3 interceptions, and opposing quarterbacks had a passer rating of just 52.6 when targeting Horn. I like Jaycee a lot, and the only question on this grade is whether or not it is an A+. The top 2 corners in this class have had very good starts to their career, and Jaycee is now getting Patrick's defensive coordinator from this past year in Ejiro Evero. And 2 years in, the top 2 corners in this class each get an A+. Penei Sewell went to Detroit after a lot of speculation of whether or not he would be going to Cincinnati to protect Joe Burrow. And after splitting time between both left and right tackle during his rookie season, he was the full-time right tackle in 2022, logging over 1,100 snaps in the process. He allowed just 2 sacks in all of 2022 and improved in every category across the board from year 1 to year 2. Pressures allowed went down, quarterback hits went down, sacks went down, and Sewell is 22. The only thing you can say about Penei that needs to be worked on is penalties, as he has drawn 21 of them in 2 years, 11 in his rookie season and 10 in his second season, an A grade. Very quietly, Jaylen Waddle had a 100-catch, 1,000-yard year in 2021, which of course was overshadowed by another rookie receiver. He followed it up with a 75-catch, 1,300-yard year in 2022, in which the Dolphins' offense briefly was the talk of the NFL. Waddle had 6 100-yard games, and given the AFC quarterback situation and the Pro Bowl of Tyler Huntley and Derek Carr both making the Pro Bowl, this may surprise you to know Jaylen did not make the Pro Bowl as a receiver. Waddle finished 7th in the NFL in receiving yards in 2022 and had Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater as his quarterback for a quarter of their schedule. When you draft a receiver in the top 6 that starts his career with back-to-back 1,000-yard years and presents the mismatch Waddle does, a player who should at minimum have 1 Pro Bowl to his name, to me this is an A+ because it's everything you could have hoped for when you were on the clock making this pick. All Ja'Marr Chase has done in his first 2 years is have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and back-to-back 80+ catch years, even while missing 5 games in 2022. Chase had to follow up what was a historic rookie season in which he broke former LSU teammates Justin Jefferson's rookie receiving yards record, and he did. Obviously, his numbers from 2022 do not look as impressive as his rookie year, but he had more yards per game and even had a higher catch percentage than he did during his rookie year. Teams also did everything they could to take away the deep ball from him and Joe Burrow this year, and defenses did a much better job with that. But when you have a receiver as talented as Chase, he's going to get the ball no matter what, and barring injury, he will have a 3rd straight 1,000-yard year in 2023. I don't think since he goes to back-to-back AFC Championship games and appear in the Super Bowl in 2021 without Ja'Marr, an A+ grade. Kyle Pitts is a very interesting player to grade because he was the first tight end since Mike Ditka in 1961 to have 1,000 yards as a rookie. And for everyone asking about Kelsey or Kittle or anyone else, none of those guys had 1,000-yard rookie seasons. But Pitt's second season was very disappointing, but it wasn't really his fault. A year ago, we gave this an A+ because of how unique of a weapon he was and how bright his future looked. 1,000 yards at 21 years old as a tight end is video game-like numbers. But after a 28-catch, 356-yard second season, where does Pitt stand? The talent is there, and it's not like this goes from an A+ to an F due to a lot of things that were out of his control, like Marcus Mariota throwing him passes, for example. I very much think he will be back in 2023, and 2 years later this gets a B+. Trey Lance is up, and this is a player who's played in 8 career games. He has thrown 102 career passes. I'm sure 49ers fans are very underwhelmed at the moment with Lance because of everything they gave up for him 2 years ago, but year 1 was a redshirt year, and unfortunately he got hurt in year 2. There's not a lot you can do about that, and even in the first game in 2022, a game San Fran lost to Chicago, it was the monsoon game and conditions were terrible. I don't put that loss on Lance, and I wasn't really surprised to see him struggle in that game. I think there's only one grade you can give him through 2 years given how small of a sample size we have of him at the NFL level, and it's incomplete. Zach Wilson has showed every sign of being a draft bust. There's no way around it. A poor or low level of play? Check. Immaturity? Check. And what I mean by immaturity was the signature quote after the Patriots game that summarized his entire second season. The Jets lose in Foxborough to Big Brother, a team they haven't beat since 2015, in a game Zach Wilson throws for just 77 yards, and the offense puts up 3 points, and he says he did not let the defense down, who, by the way, held New England's offense to 3 points for the entire game, as New England's only touchdown came on a punt return with 5 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. There was a point during the 2022 season where people were comparing his numbers to Jamarcus Russell's through his first couple of years, and that's how you know it's historically bad. Zach held back a team that, even if they had average quarterback play with that defense, may have won a playoff game. Through 2 years, he has 15 touchdowns to just 18 interceptions and has made the team look bad numerous times, an F grade. We have reached Jags quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and after a rocky start to his career thanks to Urban Meyer and the Jags front office for giving him next to no help, it was a complete 180-degree turn in year 2. He more than doubled his touchdown passes from 12 to 25 and cut his interception total from a league-leading 17 during his rookie season to just 8 in 2022. His completion percentage increased nearly 7%, and we saw a glimpse of what we can expect from Trevor Lawrence moving forward. And after a Week 8 game against the Broncos across the pond, Trevor really turned it on in the back half of the season, as in the final 9 games of the year, he threw 15 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. The Jags also completed a 27-point comeback in the playoffs, and a playoff win was the cherry on top for what was a great second season for Trevor Lawrence. Year 2 for him was the product of developing a young quarterback and surrounding him with weapons. This franchise was perpetually bad aside from 2017 for the past decade, and Trevor played a huge part in turning it around, and I think he will only get better, an A+ grade. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world and help a ton. I recently created a Patreon too, and the link for that is in the bio. Until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.